First of all, Max, how are you, and what do you make of Donald Trump talking about 6G, 7G, and what looks like a very forced kind of government initiative to rush through 5G as fast as they can? What's your thoughts on all of that?
Well, a lot of the people that are pushing it through, I mean, they're not just evil people, a lot of them are doing it because of money. They want to do it because of the profits that are going to be involved. But I think, Trump, and really when you look behind the whole thing, it's about surveillance. It's about control, controlling every single aspect of human life. That's what 5G will do. And not only that, it's a weapons system. That's what I keep pointing out to people. It's a weapons system underlying the whole thing. It gives them the ability to do anything you can think of that, the military has ever done with electromagnetic weaponry. It's all 5G powered. So that's what gives them the capability of doing it, or, the possibility. So you've got to ask yourself whether you trust your government, whether you want to give them this type of power. And again, even Trump said in his presentation that it's got to be very secure. There's a lot of danger involved in this. So we start talking about AI control of it and all that sort of stuff. So, when you're putting this system in place, which is a communication system and it's also a weapons system, you've got to have some sort of AI control of it so that it can't be hacked from the outside. You don't want people, microwaving New York or something. You can't have time for that human interaction. So it needs to be all very, very secured. So, but underneath it, it's a surveillance thing. But, like I said, the people running the tech companies, a lot of them aren't really aware, I don't think, of the bigger picture. They're just looking at it as dollars, big dollars. There's a lot of money involved. Even Tom Wheeler, that's his big motivation, is the money involved. But like you said, we can't even envisage the end application for this technology. It's absolutely horrendous. And it's very dangerous. It's very damaging technology, just electromagnetic pollution. We don't want it. It's going to do very bad things to us. Like you said, we're actually having a lot of success here in Australia, getting rid of it. They've been trying to roll it out in Sydney, and it's been rolled back in Sydney. The telco companies pulled out altogether. They're trying to roll it out in the valley where I live as well, and we had a big community meeting a couple of days ago about that. What we figured out is that there's a criminal code, and this might work for America as well. There'd be a criminal code in your country whereby people cannot cause harm against you. People cannot assault you. And if you look up the legal definition of assault is anything that causes you discomfort. You're entitled to quiet enjoyment of your life. If you've got a neighbour next door playing loud music 24 hours a day, you're not in quiet enjoyment of your life. That's an assault against you. If someone erects an electromagnetic tower within reach of your house, and you are living in fear of the waves that are being emitted by that tower, that is an assault against you, and that is a breach of the criminal code. All you've got to do, the problem we're having is we're looking for scientific results, and we're petitioning government and all that sort of stuff. What about if you go to a doctor and you say, ask for a doctor to sign you a certificate to tell you whether it is safe to be under electromagnetic exposure? Because a medical doctor will know more than a scientist about this sort of thing. And you go to a telco company and you say, I've got a certificate from my doctor here that says that this stuff is damaging, and now I'm living in a state of fear and stress because this thing is assaulting me from a distance. You'll find that it's in breach of the criminal code in your state usually. And this is a way that we're getting around it, because this thing actually constitutes an assault against us. It's an assault against our ability to live in quiet enjoyment of our lives in our own homes. And that's what we're entitled to do. Everybody in every country is entitled to that. I'm sure you'll have something like that in place in your country as well. It's just, we're not using the law against the system. We're trying to petition the system and ask them for better ways to do it. Yeah. But really we can use the criminal code against them because it's all in breach of the criminal code. It's an assault.
Well, Max, I would say there's a specific reason why when you go to nature, you feel so much better, so much healthier, so much more clear-minded. Why so many people are saying, wow, I feel so amazing after being in the forest and being around trees. And there's a whole disconnectivity. There's a whole other aspect of life under these, signals that we still don't know the larger ramifications of, these Wi-Fi things and everything else that's all around us, literally surrounding all of us, when we sleep, eat, rest, that is worth really considering. Again, I'm not talking about even from the scientific end. I'm talking just from the aspect of, just the basic natural order of things. And here in the United States, Trump is pushing us through. Trump said, that 92 5G markets will be ready in the United States by the end of the year, which is outpacing South Korea, which is on pace to have 48 markets live by the end of 2019. Now, they're selling this like, oh, this is going to be great for driverless cars. This is going to be great. Your internet's going to be faster. You're going to be able to download movies even quicker. And I'm like, wait, we could already download movies pretty quickly. I don't need super crazy fast. I mean, what are we talking about here? The technological advancement needs to be cautioned here because, again, as you mentioned before, the implications are very severe. Just recently, Google disbanded one of their artificial intelligence boards and moved artificial intelligence work to Africa, where, of course, they're going to have a lot less oversight, a lot less prying eyes, and a lot more freedom to do whatever the crap they're doing. And that power, that ability with 5G matched with AI, we're talking godlike potential that scares the bejesus out of me and should scare everyone. But tell us more about this Sydney example, because is it true that now there won't be any 5G in Sydney? Is this temporary? Is this long term? How did this happen step by step?
There's a barrister that went in to see a group of people in Sydney. They were putting in a tower in a place in Sydney, a very rich area. Happened to be a street where 6 doctors and 4 lawyers lived. And they weren't particularly happy because they'd been reading up on this, and they got this barrister to come in, and he went to see the telco company, and they had this big town meeting, and they basically gave them all the medical reasons why they shouldn't want to have this in their area, and the telco company sort of just it backed them into a corner. Guys were kind of going white in the room when the barrister came up and kind of served them with all these papers. And he kind of suggested that they go and put it in another suburb, you know. But then the telco looked at the papers they'd been served with, and they pulled out of the whole rollout in Sydney. So I don't know whether they're going to be able to find a way around it. But he's served these papers on them, and he's used the criminal code. Like I said, this constitutes an assault. And with having this street where there was all these doctors and lawyers living in the one street, and that's where they were going to start. So all these doctors just put out their own reports of what their medical opinion was of this radiation, and that's it. See, we're not doing it in the right way. We're not, we can say to them, oh, look, I've got all these specs and I've got all these scientific documents and all this stuff, but it's all hypothetical, it's all hearsay. If we get a medical opinion overrides a scientist's opinion in regard to medical things. I mean, a scientist can tell you, oh, this is all within the safe limits and it all reaches the specs, but hey, he's a scientist, he's not a medical doctor. If a medical doctor comes along and says, well, hang on, actually it doesn't, then the scientist has no other choice but to back down. So that's what they did in Sydney. That's what they've done in Tasmania, what they've done down here in a place called Nimbin, and what we're about to do in the valley where I live as well. And this barrister, he's going all around Australia. He's going to every community. He flew up here from Tasmania just for the meeting that we had here on Saturday. That's how keen he is to go around the country wiping this out. So this is the way he's saying, look, there's beauty in the law if you can look at the basic parts of the law, like the criminal code for your state. You'll find that the criminal code is there to prevent the causation of harm, and that includes assault, and assault takes many forms. If I threaten to harm you, and you are actually living in fear of that threat, well, I've just assaulted you without even having to touch you. If I'm a big monster guy, and I'm bullying you, that's an assault. I've just got to threaten to do it. If you're actually living in fear of that, and you don't want to leave your house, then I've disturbed your quiet enjoyment. And if people are in fear of these radio waves that are coming, and they're too scared to live their lives properly, that's an assault against you. And the telco companies have no right to do that. So all you need is a medical opinion of what the damage of these electromagnetic radiation is and why you feel like it's an assault. Give that, and you'll find that the telco companies in breach of the criminal code of your state. And that's how we're getting around it. So I'm sure there'll be a way around this in the United States as well. I mean, you've got to have these sorts of basic provisions somewhere in your country for sure. I mean, you've got to be, and these sorts of things like the criminal code, this outweighs the federal politicians or it outweighs the state politicians. I mean, this is the criminal code for the state. This is the basic foundation of the criminal code. So it's not like it's anything they can legislate out of existence. It's the criminal code,
Max, one could only hope. I mean, here in New York City, the police department argued that they have no duty to protect and serve when they were literally watching my friend be stabbed and fought a mass murderer, which, by the way, they later took credit for, when my friend actually was the one who took him down. The Jolo Zito story, look it up, absolutely insane. Again, people need to wake up to the realities, but more I'm looking at the technological advancements, especially around 5G, especially around AI, Max. The more I kind of want to just go down to a beach somewhere in Latin America near a jungle away from all of it. And this last comment by Elon Musk, he just gave a warning right now. He's talking to Andrew Yang, and he said artificial intelligence could be an immoral dictator that we can't do anything about. He specifically warned the risk of artificial intelligence bringing it the power of again here, immortal dictator, and even more chillingly, that we cannot do anything about that has the potential to be evil and destroy humanity. Are those hyperbolic comments, or what do you make of those comments by Elon Musk? Are they legitimate warnings or hyperbolic statements in your opinion?
No, look, they're legitimate concerns, absolutely. I mean, you think of China's social credit system, where once you get put on the blacklist, you get deemed as untrustworthy, and there's no way to regain that trustworthiness. Now, when I first saw you and I spoke to you about that, there were 7 million people on that credit blacklist. When I saw you in Acapulco, there were 10 million people on that blacklist. When I saw you in Acapulco in February, now there are 23 million people on China's credit blacklist. So that's how far that's climbed in just the last couple of years, right? From 7 million to 23 million people. And once you're on that blacklist, there's no appeal process. So that's what I mean. You can do nothing about it. What do you do if you suddenly buy a train ticket or a plane ticket, you go to the airport and you get told you're not qualified to get on the plane? Who do you call? There's no one to call. The people in the counter won't do anything because the machine said that you can't get on. So they're just going to enforce that. So that's the thing. That's why you can do nothing about it, because there's no process. Even now, they've kind of led us towards this. Even with normal stuff you do online, you'll usually get a multiple choice, and none of them are really what you want. You know, it'd be much better if you could just talk to someone, but you don't get a chance to do that. So that's how it happens. And once you've got this AI system and everything's automated and it's in control of the electrical grid and it's in control of the finances and the flow of food and everything, you get locked out of it, you get locked out of it. That's the thing, and there is nothing you can do about it. And that's a very concerning prospect. Getting back to what I said before, just to change subject and come back to this, if the legal code and the police won't do anything in your state, perhaps consult the sheriffs about it, because the sheriff should be the ultimate authority in your state. That's something to think about. But anyway, getting back to what you're saying, it's a concern. The whole AI perspective of it is a concern, and the fact that because 5G is a weapon system, in order to put it in place as a communication system, you essentially need to have AI control of it, because you can't have room for that human interaction because it's a weapon system. So you're kind of creating this whole scenario yourself. We're painting ourselves into a corner with this. Yeah, and through it all, we're giving away all our life skills in the process through all these apps and all this, communication. When you look back on this society, when this society collapses and people look back on it, they'll be looking for information on how it happened and how we went wrong. And, we'll find that there isn't any, because we never wrote it all down. We never wrote anything down. We did it all online. All the stuff we're doing, Luke, it's all online. All the videos we're making, all the news reports we're releasing, all the articles we're writing, it all exists in a virtual world. There's nothing here in the real world to leave behind for people to find at a later time. People look back on this age and they'll wonder what happened to society, and they'll go, well, we don't know, because it was the age of screens where everything was in the virtual world and nothing was real. And these people just sat in these rooms and they did all this stuff that they thought was real, but it wasn't. They never went outside and they never left anything behind. It's a freaky thing when you look at the world we're creating, brother.
And how people are affected by it, and how people are freaking out, like that Instagram model who had her account deleted and then freaked out because she had to face the possibility that she might have to work a real job. This is why, we back up every one of our videos, but just like you said, we're living in a very strange world where everything is documented online. This could be one of the reasons why a lot of the ancient civilizations went extinct and had no records of why they went extinct. It could be one possibility here that we could entertain here. And you know that more than anyone. You had your channel taken down for a few days. Luckily, you got it back up. Your YouTube channel, which has been doing really good, incredible work, which, by the way, we're going to link in the description of this video. Max, unless you have anything else to say, I just want to say thank you for sharing the knowledge and sharing the information and having us be a part of this learning experience with you. Anything else you want to say?
Look, I just think people need to pay attention to the world. I'm really glad that I have got my channel back. They said it was going to be down for 3 months, but it was down for 12 days. I don't know what that's all about. That same thing happened to Vinny Eastwood. They gave him a strike. They said 3 months, and it was back up in 12 days. So I don't know. But it's really important that we start doing and getting information out to people in the real world. Like you say, with censorship and all that's coming in, they've changed all the search parameters on everything since Christchurch as well. If you search on Google now, all you'll get is mainstream stuff. You go searching vaccine damage on Google, and you'll get mainstream reports on how vaccines are safe. You go searching for false flags or anything conspiratorial on YouTube, you'll get CNN, you'll get Guardian, you'll get Fox News. They're filtering us out already. So even with everything that's coming and the 5G and everything that's coming, it's getting increasingly more difficult to get information out to people through the channels that we're using through YouTube and normal channels. So we need to find new ways of getting this information out. And people who want to continue to get this information, you need to make sure that you visit people's websites, you subscribe to their channels, log on and subscribe to their BitChute channels and all the alternatives that we can find apart from YouTube and Google, because we're fast getting blocked out of these platforms. Thanks for having me on, Luke. Always a pleasure, brother.